Okay, welcome back to the Soviet Union. Uh, Last time we just moved out a whole bunch of planes out of the Minsk pocket because this bad boy is going to get closed up pretty quick, usually within 3 weeks. Uh, a turn is 1 week. So there's not really any hope of rescuing anything out of this thing. So at least if you can fly some planes out of there, you don't lose everything. Now, what I probably should have done in retrospect was try to move out some of planes from here to a shorter distance airbase away. But the problem there is that these bases are probably going to get rolled over anyways. And it's not like they had a ton of fuel. So I'm not losing much by doing that. What I'm trying to do now is just going through and looking at the air bases that are in immediate danger, and have planes. Now this guy has no planes, so we don't need him anymore. He can go back to the reserve. Again, no planes. Send it back. So I'm just going to go around doing that because there's no point in having air groups that are completely depleted. I mean, this guy's got 21 planes. He's not going to do much good. How about this? Again, no planes. They all got destroyed. He's got 13 planes. Not really worth it. We'll get rid of this one. We'll keep the 67 Yak ones, but this airbase here has not got enough fuel and stuff, so there's nothing it can do this turn. And so I'm just going to go around doing that, just right-clicking, send to reserves, send to reserves. And that's all you can do with these guys because there's just nothing, 2 MiGs, what is that going to do? Does not even work. I might be out of air miles there, I'm not sure. Again, send to reserve. I don't know why this guy didn't go to the reserves. Who cares? It's two planes. Who gives a damn? It's a little tedious doing this on the first turn. In retrospect, maybe I would have chosen to. I might be out of air miles here. I'm not sure. I'm still not exactly sure how that works. Like where you see how much you have left for command points and whatnot. I mean, this guy says he has 369 command points left. Not sure why those guys are not moving out. But really what my strategic goal with all these planes is pretty simple. It's kind of recombine everyone and set up some sort of defense of this area here. So ideally what we want to be able to do is to hold the area around Smolensk for as long as possible. This area here is the fastest route to Moscow. So if you lose that, you pretty much lose the war because they can just run up this very high quality rail line straight into Moscow. I mean, admittedly, Moscow's a long way away, but that's the easiest solution for the Germans, is if they can go kind of up through here, hit Smolensk, and then they cut across all the way over to Tula. That's another like pretty easy route, even though it's longer. That has another good rail line, and then this area here is good tank country, so they can come all the way up and around Moscow if they want. Now, another possible strategy, if they really break out, is they can come all the way up and around and get up to this rail line here. And that's what we really don't want. So we kind of want to have them bash their heads against the wall near Smolensk for as long as possible. And the best way to do that is with air support. And if anyone breaks through here, you just bomb the crap out of them and interdict them, and hopefully that'll slow them down enough. And then you just, every time they move up, just throw another wall of infantry at them and hope that slows them down. That's my strategy in the center. And in the south, I really didn't get far enough in my testing campaign to know what happens. I mean, I know historically what happens, but it seems pretty easy to hold. So, like, at least initially, Army Group South in this game is a lot weaker than the Army Group in the center, because it doesn't have as many tanks with it. And it also has a longer way to go. So to get from here to their ultimate objective in year one is really around like Rostov. If they can make it up to here, then they're doing a good job. If they're not making it to Rostov by the end of 41, then you've kind of done your job. And ultimately, you want to just fall back, hold each of these river lines. You fight for a little while, but then you fight in front of the river, fight behind the river, whatever it takes. And you just try to keep fighting as much as you can. And I don't know if you need a ton of air support to do that. So I'm going to prioritize my air more in the center and in the north, because the north, that is another really short route. Like, you can see how far they got on turn one. They already got to Riga, so they can, before we could even play the game. So the chances of them getting up to Leningrad are pretty high. Now, this is definitely more difficult terrain than in the center or in the south. The south has the easiest terrain, but the farthest to go. So that's the trade-off. And then you just kind of pray for rain in the fall months. But even if you don't get rain, it's still a long way to go. As long as you don't get in huge pockets encircled, you can be okay. Now, the problem is that means that this area here, where this Western Air Command is right now, between them and the southwestern group front, that this whole area is a big gap in your defensive lines. And so they can kind of blast right towards Kiev through that route if they're smart. It's not what happened when I was playing. They did just kind of go this way. Because there's not an obvious rail line unless you get to this one. But it's not like this is a monstrously good rail either. So we'll find out what happens there. But anyway, I'm going to finish up just going around trying to get everyone else. I think I already did all the Northwestern Air Commands. They just have, what's this? They're behind the lines, so they'll be fine. I will go through these guys too and just check and see if they've got any completely hapless air groups left. Oops. I really wish I knew the hotkey to go up a level. Like, when you're controlling the armies, you just click on their, see, that reassigns them. When you're playing with the regular units, you can just click on a unit and then you click on this and it'll bring it up to their higher commands, and then you click on this again and it'll bring it higher. But with the air groups, that only works at the air command level. I guess this is like the air headquarters. But if you click on a lower group, you can't click on that button. So, and I don't know why. I don't know if that's intended, but it's kind of annoying. So like if you accidentally click on one of these guys, you got to click off and then click back on. Kind of a pain. I mean, these guys are mostly okay. The other thing we got to look at is where is the center of the groups? Where is their actual headquarters located? So for Western Air Command, where the hell is he? I just don't see him anywhere. Is that him? No, that's the Western Front. Well, if we find him on the on the infantry turn, on the ground turn, we'll sort him out then. But these guys here, this Northwestern Air Command is what we want. We want to move that eventually to probably Pskov. Have them run out of there. Because that's going to be our first line of defense, where we can actually stop things. God, the organization in the beginning of the game is so difficult to sort out. It's honestly like a puzzle. Okay, these guys, get them out of there. We're going to take off ground support, I think, for a lot of these. We can leave them on. They don't have enough fuel. They can keep doing what they're doing. Man, this guy's incompetent. 3 for air and 3 for administration. It's terrible. Let's go check out what planes that group has. We'll set them on low for now, and we'll set them on medium for supply. There's just so many planes you gotta send back. Where is that group that's really low? I don't know. What I'm thinking of is reassigning this guy to the center. But I'm not going to do that this turn. Tempted just to click this just to send them back. Okay, no, I don't really want to do it because I want to do it all manually, but it's so tedious going through all these groups and sending back the ones that are completely depleted. Is that highlighted? Oh, shit. Oh, well. They'll be fine. Another thing I don't do when I play this game is I almost never hit undo. And that's mainly because I send these all back. The main reason for that is just I feel kind of dirty, like it's almost cheating when I do it. I know that sounds stupid, but I really hate hitting the undo button. I'd rather like do something stupid and stick with it, which is gonna come up for sure multiple times in this playthrough. Is I'll just do something stupid and have to live with it. But I'm not the kind of person that can admit that they screwed up so bad they have to rewind time or change reality. What is this plane? TB3. I don't really know what a TB3 is. I'm still learning all this stuff, but I just do not know what a TB3 is. I want to see if it's in the encyclopedia here. Yeah, let's Google it. TB3 plane. World War II. Tupolev TB3. It's a monoplane heavy bomber. Okay, so it's a bomber. I assumed it was a bomber when it had the letter B. Let's see what its reputation was. Was it good? Was it shit? My guess is because it's in 1941, it's probably got... I mean, let's be real here. This thing does not look good. Like, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to fly in that hunk of garbage. That thing is scary looking. And yes, I realize that could be said about a lot of World War II planes, but holy God. Like, no thank you. I think I'll take my chances in the infantry at that point. Jesus. The first pre-production flew on January 4, 1932. Unexpectedly, subsequent mass-produced aircraft were found to be 10 to 12% heavier than the prototype, which hampered performance. Discrepancy was found to be high positive tolerances on raw materials, which resulted in steel, sheet metal, pipes, and wires being thicker than on the carefully constructed prototypes. Aircraft were also more crudely painted with a thick layer of camouflage and lacquer. I mean, that makes sense. The paint on planes is heavy relative to everything else. they paid people 100 rubles for each kilogram that they could remove from the aircraft. So they ended up saving 1,000 kilograms. But production aircraft could vary from each other by several hundred kilos. That's crazy. Imagine not even knowing what your plane weighs coming out of the factory. God. Oof, these guys are really depleted. Like, it doesn't say depleted, but this looks depleted to me. The thing is, like, what am I even going to do with these planes at this point in the war? I honestly feel like they're not going to do me any good, so I'll just send them back. To avoid them getting destroyed on the grounds, we'll send them to Siberia. We can always bring them in when we realize what we want. The thing is, like, on turn 1, we don't know what we want yet. And we just know that we don't want more stuff to get blown up. And that's really all we're trying to do here. It's just try to cut our losses. These places need their ammo. And this is one of the most annoying things on turn 1 is you start the game off at such a handicap. I think I have my soft counter set to supply here. Yeah, I do. So all these colors in the top left corner indicate how much supply they have. So like this guy, he's got 28% supply. I think it turns to red below 30% or 40%. I'm not sure which, but do you see a lot of greens here? I don't, because like this doesn't count. This is just a 1,000-man artillery brigade or some. Yeah, like this is not even a real thing. So, I mean, that's probably the hardest part of turn 1 is just dealing with the fact that your units are just so undersupplied just to start the game. And on top of that, the ones that are on the front lines or near the front are almost entirely useless. Like, because they're so depleted. Like, this rifle division's got 5,000 men left in it. Like, what are we going to do with this? It's got no supply, no ammo, and no men. So something like this, you might as well just try to get out as fast as you can and hope that they can eventually get replenished over the course of like 5 turns. But it's just, that's the constant struggle on turn 1, which is fine. I mean, it's realistic, but I think that's why most people in this game do not play the Soviets, because the very first few turns are so difficult and so tedious, just going through all of the little air groups that have no units left in them. Here's another one. You know, you have to really be careful not to leave anything out there that you don't have to. You know, because it's not going to do you any good to have a bunch of planes that don't do anything, or you know, even troops. Like, what are these guys going to do? 6,000 men again. They're so under strength that they're essentially useless. So you end up having to build a lot of completely new units, or bring them in from the west or east rather. And at that point, you're having to make such big changes compared to what you have to do on the Nazi side. You know, on the Nazi side, you just get to have fun right off the bat. You get to just blow things up and try to blast your way to Moscow. It's fun because you get to make real decisions, not just decisions you're forced into. It's not till later in the game that you have more difficult choices. But because I don't really know all the air rules yet, I'm just going to click end turn here. And I mean, we don't really have any air directives here. Our air doctrines are probably need to be reset a little bit. I don't feel like doing it this turn. I mean, there's so few that are actually going to be flying that I don't feel like we're going to lose because of that. So let's just execute all our air directives. It's not going to be much. We're not flying a whole bunch of missions. We're not really going to fly any missions for quite some time. You might wonder, why not fly recon? Well, here's the thing. The recon planes will get absolutely annihilated, and then I won't have them for when recon actually will matter for me. The recon that I can do now is pointless. What am I going to even do with the intelligence? Right? I know that they're going to have to come at me. So why even bother scouting them? It's not going to give me any true advantage in the field. So, like, while it would be nice to be able to fly recon because you get bonuses in combat, it doesn't really give you anything that's worth losing the planes. And so that's why I flew literally nothing. These are just some ground support just in case they break through. These aren't even the front lines. This is just in case they break through. I don't want to lose any planes on turn 2. That's my only goal. Okay, so now we are on the meat of the game. Not that the air war isn't the meat, but I don't know how to play it yet. So to me, it feels very empty. It's not that I know how to play this for this part of the game either. I don't, but at least I know that I'm doing stuff that's going to help me achieve real objectives that I understand. So usually how I like to play is after the air war phase, I will just kind of look at the overall shape of the front line. And in this case, the front line is an absolute disaster. Like I was saying before, when I played this the first time, Riga was not taken turn 1. So I'm pretty surprised by that. Like this is all the stuff you had guarding it. You had a tank division and a motorized security division, but still you had 2 divisions guarding it, and they just got blasted off of it like they weren't even there. So I think what I'm gonna do is start in the north and just try to pull out some of the troops from this pocket here, because they're not going to be able to survive for too long. And the best way for me to do that is to use this button here, naval transport mode. Now I'm doing this all I like to do the movement first. There's kind of 2 philosophies you can go with here. You can either do your back to the front, or you can do front to back. And so one way to do it is you look at your reinforcements pool, your reserves, and see what you have available to bring in. And when you do that, you might find that you have a whole bunch of stuff that you want to bring in. Now, that's not really the case for this turn. These are kind of garbage divisions, low morale. This one's actually pretty complete, but it's just a motorcycle regiment. I mean, ideally you would want to be able to try to bring some of this stuff in. And some of these reserves are just what I sent back. So there's not much here either. You gotta wait for those build up. After a while, you'll have stuff to bring in. But I mean, you can look at all your theater boxes and see if you can move anything out. It is an option to bring in some mountain infantry to the southern front, but the problem is by the time they get there, it ain't going to be in the mountains anymore. So what's the point? And after that, there is no more mountains. The northern front, you don't really want to take anything off of that. In fact, we're probably going to be putting stuff onto it at some point. But at least initially, you don't want to take stuff off of it, because that'll just speed up losing the war up there. And so then all you're left with is coming back to the map here. You can either choose to reorganize first by using like the commander's report, or you can just start moving people around. Now, I'm obviously going to be trying to avoid combat, so I'm just going to take the approach of let's start moving everyone out that we can. Because, this is a pretty big unit. It would be great to get him out. And that's going to use up a lot of the, the port space. But the good news is we're just going out. We're not bringing anyone in. So it doesn't matter if it runs out of space, because the people who are here are not going to be getting too much in the way of supply anyways from sea, because they're so spread out. I mean, I would love to get this tank division out of here. Can he even move, though? Not quite. I might as well use up the rest of this port. Now, unfortunately for this pocket here, they're gonna die. There's not much you can do. But one thing you can do is you can potentially do a small attack here. See what happens. I mean, the good news is that that little attack can delay them just a little bit, and that's all you're looking for. This is kind of the last stand for these guys, so you're not expecting much. But at least if you can do a last stand like that, you might potentially make them have to work a little bit harder. Maybe. in reality, though, it doesn't matter too much. So this 11th Rifle Corps, we're going to make sure that all of these guys point at the 11th Rifle Corps, because there's no point in having them look at anything else. I mean, they're not going to be getting orders from the Northwestern Front, that's for damn sure. So we'll just reassign all these guys to the corps that's right here. And see if they can maybe hold out for a turn. That'd be kind of cool. Who else? This guy. And it kind of begs the question, why the hell would they assign this way in the first place? But you'll see with all these MG artillery battalions, a lot of those get assigned way higher than you would expect. But they're pretty much useless, so it doesn't really matter. And what is this guy actually? He does have a artillery regiment and a couple of fortification. Those are all the troops that we just reassigned him. But yeah, I mean, they're gonna eventually die. I mean, this unit here might be able to put up a little bit of a fight. They still have 315 tanks or armored fighting vehicles, but they're probably not going to be able to do much either. These guys are kind of in an interesting position. I guess potentially we could break out of here. If we had a little bit more combat power, we could. Let's see. We'll try unselecting everything here. See how far we can get. Can any of these guys move? Not much. So like I said, this whole situation here is why people don't like to play as the Soviets, because it is tedious dealing with all these pockets early on, and you're really just not able to do much. You can just try to move out some of them and hope that it makes a difference. But you're not going to get everything out. It's just not going to happen. So, get out what we can. Let's see, where can we get this guy? Because ideally you want your armies at depots, if you can get them there, or at least a city on a double rail like this. But because there's a bunch of stuff here, there's an airborne corps. This rifle division does not need to be here. It's depleted anyways. So let's get them off the front, but we want them to go this way. Oh my god, I hate when it does that. I had two selected. Not that the airborne corps matters at all. Especially because his units are way the hell up here, so why don't we try to move you up to here? Erdista? I guess. And we can mount some sort of defense with those paratroopers. Okay, so now can we move that army headquarters up to there? No, just short. Well, it's not like they're going to be doing much here, so let's just try to move them as far as we can. It's the river that's causing the issue, because they don't have enough movement points to cross the river, basically. Which, pain in the ass, but it is what it is. So, can we get anyone a little bit further up? This guy's just got no movement. Try to block that. Just using up their movement points, really. It's not like they're going to be getting any more supply there anyways if you don't get them out. So now the Minsk pocket here, and this is a big maybe, but maybe we can get out through, I mean, that's a scary ass tank division. There's just no good way out of here. So I hate looking at this because I know whatever I do is it's not going to make a huge difference. But at the same time, you don't want to just give up and not even look at it, you know? And the reason I push these guys down here is I just want to make this as much of a pain in the ass as possible. Because they can't start repairing this rail until they get me the hell out of here. And this rail here is important to their campaign as well. So any little thing I can do to disrupt that is actually going to be good. Now, this guy can get out of here. Let's see if there's anything I can do. Just remember I parked him on a ship next time. And then the rest of this stuff is moved as far as it's going to move. Let's try to set up a small defensive line here. Is this a depot? No, then why the hell is he there? Can I get to Pskov? No. This is obnoxious. Can I rail him to Pskov, maybe? No, because we're not even on rail. Okay, so how do we get to a rail line that connects to Pskov? We have to move this far. Oh wait, this guy can move here. Okay. Yeah, we want to move him onto Pskov. Fedor is a 4.1. 753. Oh my goodness. And I think, I don't remember right, but I think initiative is pretty bad to have low at your army level. I would love to replace this guy, but 18 admin points. Really want to be able to build units too. I mean, I didn't even realize that guy was that bad. I never looked at that in my last campaign, so that's a bit of a shocker, honestly. Not happy to see it. Why are there so many? Can I get rid of this piece of crap? Alright, we can move the motorized corps off of this. Who is under him? I don't even know. We can move him down a little bit. So the motorized corps is going to form some sort of defense here. Oh my god, it selected fucking Northwestern Front. Get back on there. Can I get rid of you? Frozen. Okay. So no. I just want to move the air command to Pskov. I think this one should be set to be a 4. One of the other things you got to sort out early on is dealing with all of the support equipment, where that's going to be, because you really don't want it all in one place. I mean, these guys are just not going to be able to fight at all. Let's give this guy to the Rifle Corps. Now, I don't know if this is a correct tactic, but it seems like it makes sense that you want to fight over areas where it's a pain to cross behind it. Now the problem what I did right here is I put them out of range of my headquarters because they had to move so damn far in the first place. So what I might do is something weird, like assigning them to the motorized corps and then assigning them back. Let's see how this guy is at infantry. He's a 6. So like this guy's not a bad commander, and I don't feel wrong about assigning what does he have? He's got six assigned to them, so the other two won't put him over. And then he can move up a little closer. And we can kind of create a little bit of a defense right here. Make him kind of go through that. So we'll stick him on this town, I think. That makes sense to me. We will assign this brigade to him. And this one. So now he's got 8. And now what we can do is bring up the tanks to support. Let's see if we have any tanks that are actually worth bringing up, because these ones are not in good shape. And their TOEs are just extremely low, like 32%. Where's this guy at? 47. We really want to give these guys a turn to refit. So what we could do is assign them all to something back here, like 22nd Army maybe. Is he on the depot? No. Where is the depot here? Valeki Luki. Oh, Erdesta is a... Okay, so maybe 22nd Army can move up. What is this, a 3? Where's the 4 here? Okay, so this one's a 3, so I think we're going to move this up to be a 4. We'll move him up here. And then we'll just reassign all of these divisions here to him. And I mean, I know it's kind of a weird thing to do, but I just think it'll work better. Just for the situation we're in. So the motorized corps is going to be commanding the airborne troops, and the airborne guy is going to be sitting around doing nothing this turn. Maybe we'll give him a border guard division. Sorry, detachment. It's not even a division. He can probably handle that. Okay, so now he's got a little security division that he could use this eventually. I mean, if we actually get a real airborne corps. I don't even know if that's one of the ones that gets automatically deleted or not. It might be. So this really weak-ass rifle corps up here, I mean, calling it a corps is kind of a joke, because we have 2 infantry divisions, an artillery regiment, and a construction battalion. I mean, it's just a strong, it's like the strength of these 2 combined is a division. So this 24th Rifle Corps, quote unquote, is actually like the 24th Rifle Division. Let's be real. None of this is going to make a difference if they come at us with an actual division.